Hells here on Rauta, and this time we're talking about the new Swedish black metal band. I say new one because this is technically speaking their first release, proper release, an album, even though the band has been active for quite some time. This is Völva with Desires Profane. Badass cover. Well, in a way, technically speaking. There are a couple of curious things which I want to mention before we talk about the music. And one of them is that this is mostly female-fronted metal. Technically speaking, all female except one newer member, not so female anymore, but the rest of the gals are indeed gals. Or nowadays, we probably shouldn't assume anyone's gender. Anyways, this one is a trio here on the album. On Metal Archive side, you will see a fourth member. But this trio is all female, and that might be interesting to some of people out there, especially if you're curious about the non-typical approach to extreme metal. What is also curious is that this is not listed purely as black metal, but black metal as crust, which is already something that people are like, what did you just say? I mean, I want my black metal pure evil and all that stuff. Rest assured, there's enough of that, but yeah, maybe the earlier stuff had more vibe to it. If I didn't know it, I mean, if I wasn't reading about it, call it black metal crust, I really wouldn't say this actually sounds like that. More just on the raw end of black metal, and in my opinion, pretty good at that. Now let's go for more interesting details about that while I put you through to Metal Archive site. Okay, here you have first of all the band photo. Quite of an interesting take. One guy, as I said, and three gals. And they are not afraid of nudity. They are not afraid of looking badass as it is, which is, I guess, worth something. What might put some people off and really turn some other people on is themes. Feminism, anti-patriarchy, Satanism and death. The two of them. Nobody gives shit about Satanism and death, but when you go for political ways in black metal, and now we're not even talking about the classic left versus right, Antifa versus NSB, we're talking about feminism here. Now some people are gonna get triggered. I'm not, because, truth to be honest, I don't give a fuck. In a way, I'm pro-feminism, all equal in that sense. Doesn't matter whether you have this or that between your legs, I don't give a fuck. When it comes to misanthropy, nobody gives a fuck. And when it comes to self-defense, one of my truest laws in the business, we all bleed the same. So, female, male, young, old, left, right, what the fuck, we are gonna die. That's some nihilism for you, alright. But like I said, I think that some people are gonna get triggered with that. I just want to make sure that my disclaimer comes first, because really, I don't really care. But I think it's quite a refreshing. But if we just ignore all that stuff, I didn't read the lyrics, so really can't comment on them. I never have enough time for that with the normal review ones. So let's talk about the music about Desires Profane. So by the cover, by the looks of the lyrics here, everything seems pretty basic. That is, you have inverted cross, or I don't know if there's any that much interesting in terms of triggering song names, song titles, whatever. I mean, it just seems like a proper extreme metal release, with one exception, and that you already might have noticed. The last song, Vagabond, is Nordman cover. Nordman is one of those Swedish, I guess you can call it folk pop. Back in the days, it made waves even in Finland with this particular single. It still is, by the way, a good song, not metal, but kind of resonated with the metal people back in the days already. And they have decided to cover that. To be honest, I didn't even notice, I didn't even pay attention to the song until it hit the chorus part. And I was like, what is this song? This is resonating with me. And I was like, oh, I can't get it in my head. And then I had to just read what it was. And yeah, it was Norman going. I was like, of course, I should have remembered the name and all. Now, apart from that, the rest of the stuff here is pretty much 30 minutes and then some black metal of the raw kind. Not super raw, not exactly lo-fi, but raw end, especially when you compare this to the more modern, polished, strong-suited black metal these days. Songwriting-wise, you might hear those crusty elements just a little bit to make a difference. Meaning, a lot of these riffs are quite simple and sweet. Sweet in the sense of course, extreme metal. My point here is for black metal, in terms of black metal, in my opinion, this is pretty good of an album. But nothing here really sticks out. It's kind of a shame that in the end, the thing you will remember this album by is the cover song, which never isn't exactly that much of a compliment. However, I truly respect that when they went for cover, it's not black metal band covering black metal, because it's usually the lost game there. I mean, all the bands who decided to cover, say, Bathory or Venom or whatever on the albums are usually like, okay, you just made the worst version of that. Save it for the live. But when bands decide to take cover song from another genre, and in this case, not just, black metal band covering some other metal track, but non-metal track, kudos. All in all, I think Völva is showing a lot of potential here, and even if you just ignore the gender things or topics or whatever, I mean, it gets more interesting. All these so-called trigger points might be to get some, people to react and get frustrated or happy about it. Like some people are just gonna enjoy for, hey, feminist black metal, that's something cool, something different. But you don't really hear it. It's not as much as the politics. Doesn't matter if some band is annoying because of the wrong kind of politics or good side of politics. You don't really hear it in the music. So what it's worth, I really don't know if it matters. It might matter to some, doesn't matter to me really. But all in all, this is quite good of an album, and I think you should give it a go. Unless, of course, these trigger points are too much for you. If they're annoying, just pass and move on, listen to something else. But meanwhile, those who don't mind, give Völva a chance. Would be nice to make an interview with these gals someday. They probably have something else to say than most of the other bands out there, coming from the, usual background with males. I just decided to found a black metal band. So what these gals are up to, hopefully someday we will find out. And meanwhile, go and enjoy. Links are provided in the description box. Bye bye.